right. Good morning, everybody. We are live. Here's the great Phumi Mashaba sorting out the her.
Turn up the afro.
It looks very nice, Pums. I like the look. I like it very much.
Good morning, y'all.
How are you?
On the, what did Ryan say? Bonus day.
It's bonus day, but it's not. Like someone posted the funniest thing.
You've got stuff on your chin.
It's the tissue schmutz. It's the extra day that we get in February for a leap year today. So it's this weird day that nobody's really sure exists or not. And if you're born on this day, are you actually 4 years younger every time? You know?
Yeah.
Not entirely clear.
Here
But
we are. The extra quarter days
but
have finally
they've all
together into one day.
flipped. Yeah. I saw a funny thing on Instagram yesterday. Someone said, so if there are only 29 days in this month of February, that means your rent should be 1 or 2 days less.
Where's my refund?
Where's my change?
My refund
Right.
for those extra days.
So if you're paying rent, you're like, how come it's the same as every other month?
Well, although if you have a bond, you pay less interest for this month.
You do?
Yeah, because they calculate your interest daily.
That is interesting. I did not
Daily.
realize that. Thank you. That's something to be a little bit grateful for, right? Son of a bitch. We have to get the
Suka.
Pums, we have to get the bonuses and the benefits wherever we can in a Cyril economy.
Woof, woof.
You know, people are talking about the Cyril economy. Yeah, indeed. Man, we've got a busy day today. So popping in a little bit later on, none other than Herman Mashaba of Action SA in our burning platform where we're talking to the leaders of all the parties. And I do hope we will get all the parties.
Well, we'll get a lot. We won't get all.
Who do you think will avoid us? Who's not going to come?
Is it? Who are we going to avoid?
We are open to all. Honestly, you got a message to try and sell to people. This is a good audience to try and sell it to because they're not stupid, and they're going to listen to you and they will critically evaluate whatever you're putting on the table. But we're not going to say no to anybody.
Well, in precisely 9 days, we will know who falls off the list.
Oh, really? How does that work?
Well, because there was a challenge to the issue of signatures required. You know, you have to get the new parties have to have a certain number of signatures to show that they actually have a constituent.
Right.
And so they have until the 8th of March. All the new parties have until the 8th of March to submit their signatures to the IEC.
You think they'll get them?
Some will not.
Who?
There was so Busa, Build One South Africa, Musi Maimani's organization, along with Rise Mzansi or Rivonia Circle, one of the two. They're linked to each other. The one is the think tank of the other. Had an urgent application about this particular requirement, but the court handed down a couple of days ago, actually, that it is not an urgent matter and it will be heard in the due course of time. So they have to submit the signatures. So we will see.
So I can only assume if they are asking the court to strike this down as a rule that they don't have the signatures.
Well,
why else would they do this?
Well, for fairness, because all the parties that currently are on the roll don't have to do it. It's only the new ones. But, you know, on Tuesday, so I think it was on Monday that the judgment came out. And then on Tuesday, Rise put out a statement saying that they have handed in their 112,000 signatures. So they had the signatures all along.
So what's this for then? I
mean, but it's for
it's
standing up for everybody.
And publicity.
You're standing up for everybody.
You want to be seen as the good guys, right?
They're standing up for everybody, man.
So yes, a busy day today. It's also, as Conga Chris says, it is Ryan's last day today on the show as our producer. He is off to Ireland in the next couple of days to go and explore and get drunk and have an adventure in the world, which is very exciting. He's ready.
Have an adventure.
He was posting videos yesterday about how to work a gimbal and how he's handing over to James, who, by the way, this morning connected everything wrong. So I'm just glad we're on. I'm just glad
wow.
I'm glad we're on. Very good. So many things to talk about, so many places to go this morning. Pumi's got some things on her mind, and I'm going to look at some of those. Kanthan will also be joining us for the Burning Platform, so it's going to be a busy morning. Plus, Dr. Mark is popping in, and Dr. Mark will be talking to us this morning about something which I think a lot of people are interested in. That is aesthetics. Botox, plastic surgery. Yeah. Well, you don't. Please. I mean, if it wasn't for that little bit of very wise and distinguished gray in your hair, I would say 30-something. Yeah.
Don't talk to me about gray.
Get into that. So we'll find out from Dr. Mark about aesthetics later on, and who needs help and who doesn't, and what he can suggest. So all of that and more on the way today. I've also got a couple of news stories for you. So I don't know if you saw this, but apparently...
What's the news?
So they said that they found the killers of AKA. They arrested them all in Eswatini. This is what they say, right? Hlatham Kwanazi, who's the police commissioner, says they've arrested 6 people in connection with the murders of AKA and his friend Tibbs. 6 are alleged to have played different roles in a coordinated assassination. And the investigation into the rapper's deaths have been complex and multifaceted, but detectives have made a significant amount of progress in identifying all those involved. The next court hearing is scheduled for Thursday. Do you believe it,
and
though?
800,000 rand.
Bail. No, that was what they were paid. That's what they were paid. Correct. Yes. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot.
Well,
I mean, to kill a famous person, I would think it should be a bit more.
To kill a famous person. I think to kill any person.
No, but I say a famous person because I was listening to a podcast that I'm into, a history podcast, and they were talking about mercenaries and how, since ancient times, mercenaries were hired to fight for you, especially if you were a rich but not particularly populous state. What you would do is you'd pay other people to fight for you. And the more you paid them, the better the soldiers and the more hard they'd fight. And the less you paid them, the more likely the chance of a mutiny. So when we are, and let's be thoroughly practical about this, because there's a bit of time since this horrific incident happened in front of all of our very eyes, because we watched it happen on camera. We saw the footage of this moment, disgraceful, in Florida Road, and this guy who a lot of people in South Africa loved and worshipped. And you think someone like that is beyond the reach of ordinary, garden variety gangsters. Clearly not. And someone must have paid because they had some axe to grind. It was personal, perhaps. It might have been financial. We still don't know. But 800,000. I'm saying that's cheap. I mean, I know that you can go on the dark web, supposedly, and that's where you find these guys.
You don't have to go on the dark web.
What, you just have to know someone?
Go to a hostel.
Oh, is that it? Yes, that's Phumi. You've just completely debased all the hostels. Nothing can come for you.
No, isn't that what we were told with the Senzo Meyiwa case? That's where they came from.
Phumi sat here the one morning and blew my mind. All she did was she gave a slightly Phumi take on what she'd been reading on Twitter. And let me tell you, that's also a fascinating case. What I love is that individuals on Twitter, and this is where it's great. I often criticize Twitter for being irritating and negative and nasty, and it is. And I'm back on there. I'm back on
Twitter, Gareth. Twitter has made all of us like gossips. That's actually, if anything else,
and
it's made it acceptable to be a gossip because,
and it's made us, and it's made some of us very good investigative reporters. I mean, we always used to rely on paid investigative reporters in big media houses and so on, who are trained journalists and the rest of it. But it is absolutely incredible how resourceful some of these people who, honestly, they just got a Twitter account and some eagle eyes. They spot things that no one else spots. They create causal links, whether true or false, between this person
It's
and
always
that person.
the little thing in the video that you never saw it like 15 seconds in.
Right.
Like
Right.
half a frame.
Right.
All of that. But I'm telling you, if nothing else, Twitter has made it all those times when gossip was confined to over a glass of wine or tea in the kitchen with your mom or your sister or whatever, you know.
Now it's a free for all.
Twitter has made it okay for all of us to be gossips.
So who knows? We'll have to see what happens here with AK's
It might
murderers.
be another 10 years. Hey,
yeah.
It might, because that's
Senzo's going on for 10 years.
That's what we've watched, and there's so many things. What I've been thinking about, though, now that these guys have been arrested, very similar to the Senzo Meyiwa case, is are they then gonna go after the person who paid the 800,000?
You would think.
Because even in the Senzo case, right? It's like, was it a paid for killing? Was it and
well, there's some amazing comments here, and I mean our comment section are not slouches. So RJ says you can ask any ANC council in KZN, they'll hook you up. Well, we know about all the political deaths, right? Rachel says, I'm sure in KZN you could even pay 3K. Not even joking. People are hungry out there.
I don't think it's that much. Somebody talking about the political killings in KZN. I forgot this morning to check on the results of.
Oh, you want your by-election? Phumu's such a. You know what? I'm so grateful for you on this show. You read stuff. You pay attention to stuff that I do not. I could not care less. And thank God, because I don't want to sound completely ignorant. And you come on and you make the show a little bit more professional. So what happened?
Yeah, well,
where was this?
In Mbalenhle, which is in the Governmbeki, in Governmbeki district in Gersebande, which is in Mpumalanga.
Okay.
Important.
All right.
ANC scrapes through, guys, with 51%.
Mpumalanga is their best province, huh? Remember, the ANC is used to getting 70+% in Mpumalanga.
And this is the first outing out of KZN for MK. And they screech in second place.
Oh, wow.
28%.
Yes. That's where the other 20 that they needed in the ANC went.
This is where the ANC's 20 went to.
Yes.
And then in third place, the EFF with 18%.
That's not bad for them. That's a good showing for them.
Really? IFP 3%. There's an independent SKCP.
And I'm assuming the other parties didn't.
Which is
part.
under, yeah.
The other parties didn't enter the race.
The DA, which was not on the ballot this time around. And I think the FF was not on the ballot.
So this is Secunda, effectively.
Yeah.
That's where this
where
is.
Mbalenhle is, yeah.
Right.
It's in Secunda.
Okay.
It's the big township there.
Interesting. First language in that province, Zulu.
No.
In that particular, 47.4% language.
Zulu speaking, really?
47% Zulu. 15.9% Afrikaans. That's obviously all the EFF voters. Southern Ndebele, 7.7%. Sotho, 6%. Other 23. Your other, what is that? Zimbabweans and Malawians.
English.
Maybe. Yeah.
English. You didn't say English. That's the other.
Really? So apparently, look, according to the last time that they held this election, the ANC were way in the lead. Really, by a long way. And interesting that the DA came in second.
ATM was there before.
ATM was there. African Transformation Movement. They had even one seat. And the EFF had 13 seats.
Yay.
Yeah. So that's it. The EFF have dropped from 19% to what you said, 18. It's only 1 percentage point. So more or less the same. Big drop.
This is 26 was their PR.
It
was their proportional representation.
Correct.
The 26.
Yeah. So it's interesting. All right. There we go. Little bit of by-election analysis from Phumi. I love it. Funny question. Someone says, is Ryan going to fly Ryanair to Ireland? And then he replied and said, no, Aer Lingus, which is the worst name for it. I know Lingus has got nothing to do with what we all think Lingus is about.
I think we need a little drum roll.
Yeah, nice one, but very good. So, all right. Ba-boom, don't breeze past the DA. Well, we did because they didn't do well. Okay.
Yay.
And Victor says EFF dropped from 26% in the last election to 8% now. Where? What are you talking about, Victor?
No, I think, Victor, you've got their proportional representation number there.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right. So lots of interesting things happening that are giving us some insight. I think MK are you're not to be underestimated here, because for a lot of people, this is kind of the protest vote that they've been looking for.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. On the 8th of March, I don't know if we will see those names coming out, but on the 8th of March, the signatures must be in, but also the lists.
Yes, party lists. That's going to be interesting. See who's on. We'll see
who's on the list.
Especially as MK party list.
And where you are on the list, Baba. Where you are on the list.
Mm-hmm.
Not only on the list, but where you are on the list.
Because you'll
if you're number 38.
You'll get people who are unhappy about where they're on the list, and then they'll move. You know how they jump ship, right? And then suddenly you'll see some guy who you thought you were voting for in Action SA who's suddenly in the DA, or you have some EFF guys join the ANC or whatever. It happens. This is where it gets very exciting. Ryan says, a different Ryan, Aer Lingus sounds like something expelled from the anus.
Guys. It's literally, guys, it's 6:20 in the morning. Stop it.
Comes people don't follow your rules. You know this.
It's not my rules. It's just decency, guys.
So, are you still playing Wordle?
I am.
Okay, I know 3 people are playing Wordle. I remember when it came out.
I wondered. I did it
for 3 weeks, and then that's enough.
I really did wonder about
You're still
this.
playing. You've been playing consistently?
No, not consistently.
You just do it every now and then.
Yeah, every now and then when you remember, when I'm procrastinating, all that kind of stuff. But I wondered if people are still, because it was big. Remember how
huge?
Everybody, the Wordle thing, you couldn't do it after 10 because then people are tweeting about their Wordle. People were tweeting that little thing with the word.
Yeah, so I watched an episode of the new season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I got to say, I'm very sad. I heard last night late that Richard Lewis, the comedian, died.
Oh.
Who was in Curb as Larry's friend, because in real life, he's Larry David's friend. And he was looking, he wasn't looking well. Apparently had a heart attack.
Oh.
But, you rest easy. You were a very funny man, and you gave us huge numbers of great big belly laughs, Mr. Lewis. So thank you.
The little scene from Curb with the South African.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That was funny. So that was funny. And the South African accent was so bad. I mean, I was so embarrassed.
If they hadn't said it's South African accent, I would not have known that.
Oh, Phumi, it's so bad. But it's like such a caricature of like a Joburg. Oh, my God, Larry. It's so great to have you here at our party, eh? And Larry, I can't thank you enough for coming to my house. It's like that. It's so bad. Oh, my goodness. So anyway, I thought that was hilarious. But apart from the South African accent, Richard Lewis, in the episodes that I've watched, I've only watched the first 3 of this season, which is new. It's the last one. And there's a scene where Larry's got that irritating woman who he's dating because he had to get some council resolution passed so he could build something or put a fence around his pool or whatever. So she's in his house and he can't break up with her because the psychologist has said if he breaks up with her before 6 months are over, she'll fucking kill herself or something. So he's guilted into being with her. And she wakes up in the morning and does Wordle and then shouts out the answer and ruins his whole day because he's like, I'm into this and now you're ruining it for me. He says it is hostile to share the Wordle answer before everybody's had a chance to try.
No, but there's a cutoff. There's a cutoff by like 10 in the morning.
But this woman at like 7, she's doing it. The bitch. She's like, it's rabbit. He's like, why? Why are you telling us it's rabbit? What's wrong with you? Oh, man. Horrible.
Listen, the Curb Your Enthusiasm.
great.
The South African skit, that was absolutely amazing. But the Wordle thing, it really got me thinking about the things that fall off and how quickly they fall off. Right?
Yeah.
It's like you know when you make your fire and you use lots of paper and not enough kindle.
Yes.
The paper fire. It's like a paper fire because it was for a couple of, I wouldn't even say couple of months. I think it was probably like weeks.
There are people who are still doing it.
Shame.
I know 3 people who are like, they do it and then they've got a group, a WhatsApp group. And
Huh?
yeah, but they don't share the answer. They follow rules.
They share the stats.
And then afterwards they reveal the answer. They've got a cut-off time, like you said. But anyway, I mean, it's very few people compared to how many people were playing in the beginning. I gave up. I have no patience for these things. Also, I'm not the kind of guy who, if I keep losing, is motivated. You know, I have not got any team sport gene. I hated team sport when I have to rely on other people. I have no good sportsmanship in me, like zero. I don't like to lose. I don't want to I don't want to be magnanimous in defeat.
Oh,
I got none of that, Phumi. I'm a son of a bitch. You don't want to play any board games with me.
Not cards. Not are you those people when you play Uno? Are you those?
I'm horrific. I play what my sister's boyfriend is called wah Uno, where I will hit you with like
the wah. You crying?
I'll hit you with like 3 plus 4s in a row, and I'll go wah.
Oh,
and I've taught my nephews to play it that way, so they now go wah when they've been really mean to each other.
Note to self:
don't play
when
me.
the day after tomorrow comes, I want to be nowhere near you.
No, don't. No, and if I lose, it gets ugly. I get personal and vindictive. It's just not fun. You don't want to play games with me. I have no fun setting when it comes to competition. Like, I am all in and I will fight you to the death. I used to take that board game Risk so seriously.
Oh my goodness.
That I once was my brother and one of my friends or his friends, they made an alliance against me and were holed up in Australia with all of their troops. I was a bastard to get through. And eventually I just had enough of them and I just turned over the board like a petulant child and very nearly turned the table onto the 2 of them as well.
Oh my
I have
goodness.
zero capacity for the fun. You know, when people say, let's play a game of Monopoly, it's fun. I watch. So I've learned this. So in order not to bring pain and misery to my friends and family and the people I care about, I watch.
Oh, there is a fantastic game that because you have the perfect setting, right? Because you have a big family, and you know, and you guys get along, and everybody's got like a bit of humor. There is a game. This is what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Okay, well then tell me then. Let's keep
this
it.
This is actually what
we got a whole. Listen, we've got a whole 10 months, ladies and gentlemen. It's only the end of February. We've got a whole 10 months of this year ahead of us.
You know what's actually irritating about you is that your birthday is also a long way away.
That's great. It's lovely. All right, so
I could get it for Uncle Gareth. It can be like a Father's Day, Uncle Gareth.
No.
Do you get from your nieces and nephews? Do you get an uncle gift?
Those little shits haven't given me anything.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Cards Against Humanity is a great one, Jason Styles.
I like that game. Because it's very rude. I do. I like it. It's good. So a couple of interesting things here.
Who's this asking about a rural
look at this.
house?
Sharon says I still do Wordle every day. My best friend and I, Dr. Robin says, play Wordle every day. We live across the country from each other. It's proof of life when we share stats.
That's so cute.
That's nice. See, for me, it's not just you and I who have dropped off of here. There are people who are carrying it on.
So bless you.
And then John Bad Dog says, does Phumi have a rural house? All the villages have many mansions, but across the country, 90% are Tuscany builds.
I can't afford it. I can't afford a second house. No. I can barely afford the one I live in. Also, I hate Tuscany. I hate all those Tuscan things.
Yeah. So Hermine agrees with me. Second place is just the first person to lose. She gets it. But then Carl says, Gareth, you really are a horrible human being. Why are you like this? And don't blame it on some past life. I can't tell you. I cannot tell you. I'm not sure why. I have no ability to just have fun with a board game or any kind of competitive. That's why I didn't play sport at school. I hate to lose so much. I would rather not participate.
It's
a weird. It's a punishment, but it's also a blessing because it saved me a lot of time. I don't play golf. I would hate to play golf.
Why? Golf is you play against your damn self.
No, Phumi. And then I'd hate myself every day. And I see how much time it takes from people. Listen, I have to pay a monthly subscription for where I live on a golf course, even though I've never walked on that golf course with a club. Never. So I am paying for nothing. And people say, oh, but that's ridiculous. Why don't you play? It's so easy. You could just go out of your front door and play. No. I can't justify 9, let alone 18 holes. 9 holes. What are you talking about? At least 3 hours. At least 3 hours? Are you joking? There's no way I could justify that. Give me something I can do in 15 minutes. I can't watch.
No, man, 15 minutes is too little. I can't watch a
sports game that goes on for 90 minutes. Are you crazy? World Cup football comes along and I'm in. Otherwise, don't give me any of that. Because it's And even then, I'm not ducking out for tea breaks and snacks. And listen, I just accepted a long time ago. I'm different to everybody else. I'm a weirdo. I'm happy with it. I'm comfortable with being, as Carl says, a horrible person. A truly horrible person is what he said.
Oh, man.
No. And I'm not even hurt by it. I know what the monster is I deal with. And I'm happy to exclude myself from these things to keep peace and happiness in the home. Now that is true sacrifice.
That is the one thing that may be your saving grace from being a horrible human. Andy says you should play 30 seconds. And I'm sorry for you. No, 30 seconds is the worst one.
I played 30
for
seconds.
For a person like this.
For me, I played it on Saturday. Played it on Saturday.
And?
There were 5 of us. We went away. It was my sister and her boyfriend and my 2 cousins and I went away for the weekend. And we played 2 rounds of 30 seconds. I won. Our team won 1 and we lost the other one. And then we stopped playing. I would have carried on if we'd won. But 30 seconds.
30 seconds is worse. 30 seconds is worse. That is the most competitive. No.
Yeah, because seconds. Your partner lets you down. They don't get the clue that you're putting down.
Then you have no. 30 seconds is worse.
Mm-hmm.
It's the worst one of all of them. 30 seconds is the worst one.
So someone says here Kanthan, and this is a game that was played, which I watched.
I don't know what that is.
It's like this game where you have to gather resources and you have to build, and it's like a board game, but it's a kind of a civilization game. So you have to get ahead of everyone else and defeat them by points. Sanele agrees with me. It's the same with him. It's literally me, he says. So yes, I get it. Elvis says Monopoly is the worst. I also think that's a very competitive game. So you wanted to talk about something completely different. This is hugely important. Everybody's talking about how, in fact, my friend who you know, Eleanor, in England, who's who worked for the British High Commission and the trade delegation here. She put up this very funny thing with Camilla wearing a crown. She says, Queen Elizabeth II's gone. King Charles has got cancer. William is bald. Kate Middleton's in hospital. Andrew's a pedophile.
She's disappeared, Kate.
The only one left is Camilla. And she's wearing a crown,
is
right?
The survivor.
Yeah. So.
Well, Eleanor's in the eye of it, isn't she?
So you tell me what you think's going on there. Because Kate went in for an abdominal surgery. Okay, this is what they told. Now, when you have too little information, and you know what they did with King Charles is very good. Because not only did they not make a fuss about what was really going on, and no king, no person wants to have their prostate discussed. No man is thrilled about that. Prostate. So he went in for the prostate cancer because he was going in for a checkup of some kind, and they found the prostate cancer. This is King Charles III. He's 75 years old. It happens to a lot of men. They say it's treatable. He's gone in. He has since appeared in public, seems to be in good health.
But well, the Arch had prostate cancer.
That's right.
He lived
He lived a long time. So there's no need to panic about that. But they gave us the information, right? Because people are curious about these things. They want to know what's going on. So the clever thing they did there is they share information. They're like, well, the king has got this. This is what he's going in for. Now with Kate, they're not telling us anything. Now, people are speculating wildly, and I've heard, even though this woman is not in any way important to South Africa, she doesn't affect our day-to-day stuff. She's the Princess of Wales now. She's a beautiful woman. She seems to be extremely good at the job. She's produced 3 lovely children, which is more than she has to do as the royal broodmare. But also, she's done an excellent job of keeping the dignity of the office, which a lot of people in that family have failed dismally at over the last while. So we like Kate. In fact, I find her absolutely majestic in all the ways. She's almost more royal than the royals, if you know what I mean. So
she would have to be. She worked so hard to get there.
She goes in to the hospital, and she's got abdominal. It's very vague. Abdominal surgery. People are saying, was it a hysterectomy? Is she going in for a breast augmentation? Is she going in for some serious condition that she's got that we don't know about?
My favorite one is the BBL.
BBL. You've heard BBL? Brazilian butt lift? She never had a... Listen.
She would need one, though.
Listen.
She would need one.
Let me explain. There's this thing. It's the opposite of having a booty and a big gadonk, as Missy Elliott would have said, right? Keep your eyes on my badonk, right? In England, the flatter your ass, the more aristocratic you are.
Oh.
The more well-bred.
Oh, dear.
I am proud to say I have the flattest ass. It looks like it's never been used.
Oh, dear.
I've never sat on it. In fact, it looks like when I sit, it's probably painful. Mine is so flat, which is a source of pride for me. But it is the opposite to everywhere else in the world, where if you don't have a bit of a booty, you are not considered sexy at all. And I understand that. I'm willing to forego the sexy for the good breeding, if you know what I mean. And people will say, and it's not true, they will say, well, your ancestors never worked. They never did the squats.
Wow.
Yes, this is where it comes from. So Kate not having a bum in England counts for her with the English. Everywhere else counts against her. I feel like she's got this beautiful figure. I think she looks magnificent. I wouldn't change a thing.
Completely assless.
Assless. For me, don't make me stand up. You know it's flat. There's no shape there.
Really? Okay, so the BBL theory is one of my favorite theories. Of all of them, it is my favorite theory. But I then remembered, Gareth, that you told us something when the Queen died about the trajectory, right? That it's like a long reign and then a short reign. How many short reigns?
Well, I mean, it stands to reason. So Charles took over as king at the age of 74, 75. So you only have a few years left at that point. But if he lives as long as his mother, he's got 20 years in the throne. She had what, 60 something?
Yeah.
On the throne. So it stands to reason, like Queen Victoria, long reign, her son Edward VII, short reign. After that, another short reign, and then a longer reign again. So it's not always a pattern, because kings and queens all over the world, lots of murders, beheadings, civil wars. It's a tough job. I mean, I went through
it's a lot
over
like
the weekend.
Being a counselor in KZN.
Because I don't drink now. I went. It is like being a counselor in KZN. Because I don't drink at the moment, I have to entertain myself in ways that I normally would not. So you get super nerdy, Gareth. So while we were braaiing food on the Saturday night, I went through a list of the ways that the various kings of England, from William the Conqueror to the current queen, what has killed them, or how they died, right? And I'm not going to do it now because it'll take us half an hour. But William the Conqueror died by smashing his balls into the pommel of his saddle while out on a ride. His horse stood on a hot coal or a thorn or a something. It reared up, And then when it came down again, he, who was at that stage quite obese, fell forward in the saddle, balls were crushed, the pain was intolerable, but because of the internal bleeding, that's what killed him. So that was William the Conqueror back in 1087 or so.
Alrighty then.
Horrific. And it gets worse as you go down the line. And then, ended with Elizabeth II. And so short reigns and long reigns, it really depends on how lucky you are.
Shame, man. But Camilla, huh?
She's tough as nails. She's got no health concerns. She smokes, she drinks. Again,
she's gonna be the last one standing.
Keith Richards and Camilla Parker Bowles are evidence to all of us, it's irrefutable, that you do not have to. What happens?
What are those balloons?
I see if I do this, it's like, oh, look at that. You had a fireworks display behind me. I like this. We're going to use this more often. If you're watching us on YouTube, let me explain. We just I did a hand gesture and suddenly the screen lit up like it was Guy Fawkes.
Was it because you did this?
I think so. Let's see if it happens. Again. Let's see if it happens for you.
It does not. And I'm quite...
No, do it more for longer.
What did you...
Phumi doesn't like you as much. I don't know. Anyway, so Camilla and Keith Richards, after we were all dead, after the Holocaust, when Ukraine joins NATO,
him and the cockroaches,
and Vladimir Putin fires off every nuke he's got, and Joe Biden mumbles something, and the nuclear codes open up, and he fires all of his nukes, and the whole of the northern hemisphere is covered in a nuclear winter. God forbid this should happen, but Camilla and Keith Richards will be the only survivors,
and the cockroaches.
I think they might be able to outlive the cockroach. And good for them. Good for them.
That's always one of my most inane things, that cockroaches could survive a nuclear.
Yeah.
So why do we buy Doom?
Well, we don't have to worry about it. Leave the cockroaches. The Doom doesn't work. I once sprayed a cockroach with Doom until it was white. And it crawled away from me. Tabo says a flat ass is the most off-putting thing ever. Worse than a flaccid penis. Sure. Terrible. Elvis says ironing board for the flat asses. And then Tabo says again, ASP, the Assless Society Party. I hope you're going to register that and contest the elections. You've only got, a few days. Peter says nothing wrong with Kate's rear. Not everyone likes those big fat asses that seem to be fashionable. Well, that's nice of you to stand up for her. Yeah. Okay. Keith Richards as well. Both of our hosts have, what is this?
Schwaba.
Schwaba.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's Schwaba. That's the Zulu word for people that are assless.
Oh,
there's an actual word.
I'm going to use that as my nickname from now.
It's the Schwaba. There is an actual word. That is.
I'm changing my byline. That's going to be mine. It's the Schwab.
Because the idea of being assless as a Zulu woman is that it's like.
Man. All right. Well. That's enough of that. But there we go. We've covered AKA's murderers. We've covered King Charles. We got a little bit of politics in there with a by-election in Mpumalanga. We're covering it all this morning. So let me throw this in quickly.
What do you think? Do you think Camilla's sizing up all the crowd?
Can you carry on? So there's a documentary.
You think she's doing her hair? She's changing her hairstyle so that the crown can sit in properly.
There was a documentary.
She has outlasted them all.
They gave this behind the scenes look at what happened leading up to the coronation. It was actually fascinating because Charles even spoke about his sausage fingers.
Where's that documentary?
I'll send it to you. I'll send you the link.
Please.
And in it, Charles and Camilla go to visit the crown jeweler, who's busy resizing the crown for his head, because even though he and his mother have a similar size of head, he's a man, so his skull has a greater circumference. That's almost always the case. So they put in some pieces that they took out when George V was last king. So they show this, and then Camilla's very interested in it. She's like, oh, very exciting. How long does it take you to do it? Kind of thing. And I think she was checking it out there. She's like, could I try this one on for size? I don't know. Everybody says she's she's the side chick who did good, which I love. But what I love about her is she doesn't seem to be a personally ambitious person. You think that's nonsense? I don't know.
Think that if you want. But she is outlasting them all.
All right. Herman says he has a humongous head. That's hilarious. Okay, so if we do the thumbs up, look at this. Apparently, then we get a thumbs up on the screen.
Hello.
And if I do this, then what do we get? Nothing.
But why?
Angas. I don't know how to activate these things. If anyone knows, AmaGC says it's called the Sonoma reactions when you thumbs up. What other ones can I do? Producers, check that out and let me know. And let's get Dr. Mark in here. We got to talk about something important this morning. We can't just talk nonsense about Camilla and Charles.
Look at that. He actually woke up and came all the way in. Hello, Dr. Mark.
Oh. Don't worry, we're not.
Thank you, Dr. Mark.
Have a seat
it's
here,
It's all
Dr.
about
Mark.
the aesthetics this morning.
Yeah. Yes. Look at him.
Look at him. Match.
What I do love is that Dr. Mark has never, ever let us down in terms of his sartorial excellence. He comes in here.
What does that mean? I'm Afrikaans.
I shall tell you. So you are a man who. No. It doesn't matter. You always have the matching glasses. I don't know how many pairs, like Elton fucking John, right? Got going on there. You wear the different outfits, which are all personalized and which all look fantastic.
And then the
bit of an African theme we've got going today, but the color is repeated in the glasses. Show us the bangles and jewelry over there, magic,
and the sneakers,
which are
lift it up.
Blur.
CJ.
Look at that! How fantastic! Listen. You have the aesthetics down pat. So if there's anyone we're going to talk to about this stuff, then let it be you. So Dr. Mark, we're talking about something that actually, because Ryan and James said, oh no, Phumi, you don't have to worry. Like Pumi's a fading flower and she needs to be preserved against horrible things. You don't have to worry, they say to her.
I would have given him the exact same look.
No. Don't look at me. I'm not the one who's saying this.
They said.
No. So they said to Phumi, oh, you don't have to worry. We're not talking about anything disgusting this morning. Pumi's like, what do you mean? We were talking about penises, and she's not afraid. We're talking about aesthetics, which actually is quite controversial.
Yes.
And you arrive as we finish up talking about Kate's BBL.
Mm-hmm. So there's a segue here. Are we going to talk about the face or the whole body?
You know what?
What do you want to zero in on?
I specialize in non-surgical facial aesthetics.
Okay.
So let's talk about the face.
All right.
Surgeons do body. There are some treatments that we have in our non-surgical arsenal for body treatments. And here we're thinking specifically of biostimulators, products that when you inject them into the skin creates a cellular response. And what we after with these things is collagen production. So with biostimulators on the body specifically, we can do a little bit of a firm and lift and shaping of your bum.
Okay.
We can do the knees. You can do
knees.
You cannot imagine.
Which makes me want to look at my knees.
How many
Suddenly
women
I'm worried about my knees. I never been worried before.
Complain about the wrinkles that form above the knee as they get older.
And they don't want those.
You know what? Not if you want to wear a short skirt or if you want to run around on the beach and you have a good body, but it's starting to show the signs of aging. Arms.
Look at Phumi checking out. Just look at Phumi. She's suddenly looking at her knees.
Tummies, and the big one that I treat in my practice, which is considered part of the body and not of the face, is the neck.
Yes.
So
the neck is
biostimulators for neck work beautifully.
And the neck is a bit of a honesty experiment.
Exactly.
The
It gives
two-
away your age.
Two places, your hands
Hands.
and your neck.
Now, I'm glad you brought up hands because I love doing hand treatments. It's simple, it's easy, the results are amazing. And what we use is we use a filler. The filler that I use, a tissue filler, the filler that I use specifically in my practice is Restylane Vital Skin Booster because it gives us beautiful volumized hands. So you take away that veininess
and wrinkliness.
And
how would you rate my hands?
No, you have great hands.
You reckon? Phumi, what do
Yeah.
you think? Are my hands all right? I'm a little concerned. They're starting to look like old man hands.
No, you know what? For women,
Like
as
maybe
Phumi
like
said, the hands and necks and décolleté give away age. I do think that people don't really understand the differences in the aesthetic treatments.
I just want to go back to collagen for a second because it's all the rage of people putting collagen in everything. You order a smoothie now and you put collagen powder in. Does that do anything?
It really depends on the quality of collagen. You know what? I can give you something with ground up horse hoof, and you can buy that online, and it contains collagen. It's about how much your body actually absorbs out of that granules that you drink. So we know collagen is beneficial for joints, for skin, for hair, for nails, but it all depends on which product you're using. As far as I know, there are only 2 collagen supplements available with scientific studies to prove the bioavailability. And that's what it's ultimately about. It doesn't help that you take a Panado, but you can't absorb the paracetamol.
Yeah.
So it's not going to work for the pain. And a lot of the stuff that you see out there, especially the stuff that you take off a shelf.
Yes.
You don't know what's in there. You don't know the quality. You don't know how much you're going to absorb.
I hear you.
And that now becomes interesting.
You're being diplomatic and careful because you're not saying products are an absolute waste of money. But I get what you're saying. There's a lot of research. There's a lot of knowing what you're talking about. There are a lot of ingredients and chemicals that you need to be aware of, which most people are not. They buy the thing hoping it's going to make them look young.
And it's the chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
Again, most of your supplementations, whether it's vitamins or minerals, have fillers in them. They might have flavorants or colorants in them.
So collagen is supposed to make your skin more elastic and more...
There's a little bit of a difference between elasticity of the skin, which usually comes from elastin, because it can stretch and deform. Collagen doesn't deform. Collagen is more stiff, so it gives more structure. When we look at collagen depletion or decreased collagen in the face, you see 4 things that every single woman do every morning. Well, I do it in the morning as well.
Go ahead.
And that is sagging in the skin, where when you do this, the skin sags. Laxity, and that's that's sagging. And then laxity, when you pinch your skin and you pull it away.
Yeah.
So I have collagen treatments in my face, so literally I can't do that. And then there's natural volume loss that occurs. And for women specifically, you start seeing this volume loss in the temple area. You start seeing it under the eye, where they start developing tear trough deformities and eye bags, the jowliness and the nasolabial lines that start forming. And that's all because the volume here and the volume here starts depleting. The skull changes shape as you get older.
What?
Yes, absolutely. One of the major changes that happen as you get older is that the eye socket itself goes from round to oval and eventually square. And that's why you develop the tear trough deformity.
That's fascinating. So you're telling me, like, if an archaeologist digs up a skull, they can tell also how old the person is just from the shape of the eye socket. What a fascinating revelation.
So the other thing that happens when it comes to bony changes is the shape of your mandible.
Lower jaw.
Yeah. So the mandible that sits here becomes more or less angular. So the angle of the jaw becomes bigger. We want a square jaw, 90 degrees. But when this becomes bigger, the angle becomes bigger. You start showing the signs of a weak jawline. The height of a mandible starts decreasing.
So in other words, the distance from the lower lip to the bottom of the chin.
Exactly.
Phumi, did you know any of this?
Wow.
This is fascinating.
Wow.
When I train other doctors,
I feel like we should have brought a mirror.
Yes.
I feel like I want to look.
When I train other doctors in aesthetics, we always start with understanding the dynamics of a face. You know what? We all know the anatomy of a face. We've learned it into a text or from a textbook. We did our cadaver dissections. And you know where this vessel is supposed to be there, this muscle is supposed to be there. But the muscles in the face work in one layer. So a 2 millimeter change in your eyebrow expresses exactly what you've just done. It expresses a completely different message to the observer. So you need to understand that. When we use toxins or fillers, we change the dynamic movement in the face, not just the lines.
Yeah, which is why sometimes people look like shocked.
Exactly.
They have this like permanently like surprised.
Yes, exactly that. Permanently interested or surprised.
All right. So Carl says in the comments, my niece is horrible looking. Or can I send her to the doctor? Or did he say knees? Yeah, he said knees. Knees. And then Carl also says later on, my wife and I are we are the same age. I don't have a single wrinkle, and she gets very, very angry about it. So tell us about the differences between men and women as we age in terms of the aesthetics.
So number one, men's skin is thicker than women's. And one of the things that...
Any wife will tell you that.
Yeah. One of the things that we know and I speak about every single week on your show and my show is the change in hormone levels. Estrogen in the skin is very important for skin structure and skin collagen, as well as the functioning of the skin. So as hormone levels start declining, the skin starts thinning. The skin becomes drier, which in men is not the case. Also, the majority of men used to shave. And that creates an exfoliation of dead skin cells. So the skin cell turnover is faster. So men don't develop wrinkles as quickly as women.
So someone's asking about tissue oil in the comments, like using tissue oil. Does that help in any way?
You could tell us, Doc. We don't.
No
one's going to come and sue you over this. Bullshit, right?
I'm a man of science. I haven't seen any scientific studies.
There we go.
Anecdotal stuff. Yes, it helps for keeping the skin
this is bullshit.
Supple, but you know what?
There's no active ingredients.
It helps. It improves some of them,
Doc,
depending on when you start using it.
You're going to do a whole show on this, so I don't want to steal all the thunder from your own show, which is on a little bit later today. And I encourage everybody, if you haven't already subscribed to it on YouTube and on all the podcast servers, you can go and get it. We'll also put all the information at the end of this show's notes.
Always fascinating.
You got to listen to this show, and you have interesting guests every other week, and it's fantastic. You got to listen to the show. But before we run out of time, we got to talk about Botox, because when you say toxins, which you're talking about here, Botox, everybody talks about it. There are loads and loads of people who are getting it. It's no longer a shameful thing that perhaps it once was. And I want to know if there are any dangers, because you use the word toxins. We know it's botulinum.
Botulinum toxin,
right.
yes.
This is not good stuff. But it seems to do a lot and people are using it all the time and it appears to make them look better.
Okay, I unfortunately have to correct you. We're talking about neuromodulators. Botox is a registered brand and trade name.
Okay.
Mm.
So in South Africa, we have 3 different botulinum toxins available. Just for the sake of equality, we have Dysport, we have Botox, and Xeomin. They're all much of a muchness. Is it safe? Absolutely. The beauty of neuromodulators lie in the fact that nothing that you do is permanent. So the method of action is it stops the conduction of electrical impulses to the muscle. In other words, it stops the muscle to contract. The safety lies in the moment that you've stopped the neuromuscular junction from working, the body regenerates a new one. So nothing that you do with it is permanent. And that's the
You're not going to
beauty.
look like you have a stroke at any point unless you have a stroke.
No. The safety is dependent on who puts it on, not the safety. The effect.
Go to some backstreet guy.
Is on who puts it where. People don't actually realize just how often and for what different stuff we can use neuromodulators. So most of us think it's for treatment of facial lines and wrinkles, but it was formulated for spasmatic conditions, blepharospasm, where the eye twitches.
Yes.
For patients with cerebral palsy.
Really?
We use it to treat migraines. We use it for grinding of teeth.
Mm-hmm.
You use it in excessive sweating under the arms and on the hands. Some of our urologists will use it for overactive bladder syndrome. So for certain people, it's life-changing. It's not just about, I don't want to have frown lines or wrinkly eyes.
Is it very, very expensive?
It's expensive. It's not cheap.
That's why rich people always look like this.
Exactly. It's not, if you don't have quite a bit of disposable income, this is not a treatment for you. For one simple reason, you have to keep it up.
I was going to ask about maintenance.
Oh.
So
once longevity of a neuromodulator treatment, somewhere on average, let's make it 3 months. Depending on how much you put in which area, you can get up to 4 or 5 months, sometimes as little as 2.5. Product decision there plays a tiny little role, but it's more dose dependent and the muscles.
All right. Well, I'm afraid we're going to have to call this to an end, but there's something to whet your appetite for Dr. Mark's show today, T Health Show. You can listen to it here on cliffcentral.com live a little bit later on this morning. And you can also find the podcast on all the big podcast catchers. Make sure you check it out. We'll put the information in the show notes. And always good to see you, Dr. Mark.
Thank you, guys.
I can't believe you came here to talk about knees on the day I'm actually wearing a short skirt.
But there's nothing wrong with your knees, and you do look lovely.
And it's true, black don't crack.
No, exactly. Yeah. You know what? I just wish that it was the other way around, because a big part of my practice is black on the hormonal side, and I can't do anything for them for their skin. So
how unfair. Very unfair.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
There he is, Dr. Mark. What an interesting way to start our morning, right, Phumi?
Hey, you and
Yes, we've covered it all. Okay, so coming up,
there's a lot there.
Coming up, the Burning Platform, we're talking to political party leaders. Today it is the chance of someone who has been in the studio with us before, and he's always happy to come and see us, which means we're happy to see him. And that is Herman Mashaba. We've got lots to talk to him about today, because the EFF is saying we want open borders. There's no such thing as being Zimbabwean.
He was trolling Julius on Twitter last night.
So I'm back on Twitter. I'm paying attention. Don't you worry.
It was very funny.
All right, everybody. We'll be back with the rest in the Burning Platform next, along with Kanthan Pillay and Herman Mashaba. Don't go anywhere. cliffcentral.com. It is the last day of February in a leap year.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
Here we go, journalist hat on.
Okay.
That's because that's kind of what I do. So I haven't driven the Jolion, but I have driven the H6 HEV, which has the same sort of 1.5 power plant in it. If we want to get a little bit geeky, the Toyota Corolla Cross as a model I really like. I think it's great value for money. It looks good. It's available in GR Sportrum, which is,
in South Africa, or was that like okay.
Yeah, so you can get a GR Sport Toyota Corolla Cross. So it's the most affordable or the cheapest Toyota product that you can buy that's got a GR badge on it, which is really cool. So I like that. So it's like the entry point into like GR Flex.
Are we Toyota fanboying right now? Because I feel like that's what's happening.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
We are here for the Burning Platform, which is what we do on a Thursday. We are very, very happy to be looking at the election. And in the run-up to the election, we are looking at speaking to every one of the political party leaders. And so far, we've had 100% turnout for the invitations that we've issued. And I'm thrilled that one of the biggest parties we've spoken to so far, the leader of that party is back again. And I'm very happy to see him. He is Herman Mashaba, leader of Action SA. And we've got Kanthan Pillay here as well, who is often our, what would we call you? You are the... I'm the gadfly. No. I think the word might be the protagonist sometimes in the questions that we get to ask these leaders. So Herman, nice to see you. You're looking like somebody who's been on the campaign trail. You've been busy as hell.
I'm sure
I don't mean you look tired and worn
I am
out.
tired. What do you mean? Don't be trying to be nice to me. Say it as it is. You can imagine at 11 o'clock I'm making a big national historic announcement to announce the premier candidate for Gauteng, the last one in the 9 of the provinces. Gauteng, it's, as you're aware, is the economic hub, not of only South Africa, of South Africa. Without Gauteng working, South Africa is not going to work.
Correct.
The African continent is not going to work. So I'm making a very big announcement at 11 o'clock, big media press conference.
I thought you were going to
South
give
Africa's waiting for me.
You were going to give us a sneak peek ahead of everyone else. But okay. All right, we'll wait. We'll wait till 11. It's fine. You come and you tease us like this. So listen, we're talking to all the party leaders, and we had Colleen Makubele in last week. You smile. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I know that you were part of the multi-charter.
Multi-party charter. No, we are.
Yes. And I know that...
but at the time when Colleen was involved with us, it was immediately after the election. There was no multi-party charter. At the time, we just really had a coalition agreement.
And she's now with Sarah, which she told us about last week. But Action SA now, The last time we had a big national election, it was the first.
Not national. It was municipal elections.
The municipal
in November 2021. Yeah.
And since then, a lot has happened. I mean, you're in the top 5 big parties across the board. Officially. You are contesting in all 9 provinces, as you already mentioned. So things are markedly different to where they were the last time we spoke about elections with you.
Well, I think, Gareth and everyone, I can just, if you thought we surprised South Africa or we shook up the political establishment in 2021, remember at the time we were just over a year old, right in the middle of COVID, because Action SA was launched on the 29th of August 2020, right in the middle of COVID, few weeks before the elections. At the time when analysts said I'm a Stockville, I've got no chance of anything. They said if Action SA gets 3 councillors in the city of Johannesburg, they would have done well. Everywhere else, we must just really forget. IEC saw something that the analysts did not see and tried to play a big one on me. They made us to contest as a logo. People voted for a logo, but results came. We emerged as the 6th biggest political party. People who voted for us as a logo, 550,000. 550,000 in 6 municipalities out of 278. So now, extrapolated today, we are going to contest every corner of this country, every voting station, every province, the entire country. We ready. I'm sure you can't go anywhere without now noticing our posters. Today I've got a big press conference at 11 o'clock to announce the final premier candidate for Gauteng. Very important an announcement. If you thought we performed well in 2021,
so what's your prediction for your performance in the national?
Well, look, I'm not an academic person, and I'm happy to give you an academic exercise because whoever's going to, whether it's me or it's a professor from Harvard or University of Cape Town, it'll be academic because we are exactly today 90 days from elections. There are millions of South Africans who today don't know anything about Action SA. But by end of today, there'll be an additional 200 or 500,000 people who are going to know about our party. For me, if Action SA does not emerge as the 2nd biggest political party, personally,
in Gauteng or
national? No, hang on a second. 2nd biggest after who?
No, well after the NC.
So you're not rating MK's chances in this at all?
MK, who are they? I don't know, maybe you know something that I don't know.
Shots fired here, guys.
All right.
No, perhaps some. If we, no, I'm saying is, if we're done, I'll be disappointed because I wasn't born to fail, and I'm not in politics to be in opposition. I'm in politics to govern, and not to govern because I want to really be in government. I hate this job with a passion. It is my commitment and it is my dream, and it's something that I don't take for granted. I work like a dog to ensure that we can democratically remove ANC government from power. So it's not going to happen by chance. Everything that you see happening with Action SA doesn't happen because Herman Mashaba is a God-fearing man, and I'm a God-fearing man. Every morning before I do anything, I pray for God to give me the wisdom to go and work. But at the end of the day, I'm the one who does the work. But at the end of the day, the voters of South Africa will speak.
And you're feeling
if we emerge not as the 2nd biggest political party, I'll be disappointed. My team disagrees with me because I think majority of people I work with very conservative, very informed. They risk averse. Whereas with me, I can tell you, my life, I'm 64 years of age, so I'm not a baby. If you look at the life of this human being in front of you, has always been thrown in a big the pool and deep end, and I always swim out. Put me in a corner, because right now ANC has really put us in a corner, and I can tell you I'm gonna get out of this corner. There's just no way that I'm gonna allow another.
You're feeling very confident. Yeah,
it's not. It's what has to happen, because let's really face it. In the event of ANC coming back into power, and obviously, if they do come back into power, they won't come back on their own. They will obviously be rescued by the EFF and
MK
and MK.
Oh, okay. So you do know about MK. All right, good.
Yeah. So
All
that's the only time that's the only time ANC will come back into power, if they are rescued by the EFF and MK, and that would really be the most disastrous results for South Africa.
What do we do then? Do we just pack up and go?
Oh my goodness! It's honestly, once a few years ago used this analogy, and it applies to this particular arrangement with EFF, ANC, and MK.
That is,
you can imagine
that's presuming though that they would come to an arrangement.
No,
we don't know.
I can tell you, yeah, if they do, I can tell you, it'll be someone actually being whisked into Morningside clinic with a running stomach, and the first thing the surgeons give this person is laxative to fix him up.
Yeah, okay, I got you. So in other words, it'll kill the patient.
So Herman, I think we're all in agreement around here that country's ready for change, and we know about the problems that are going to come from an ANC EFF MK coalition. So, but let's talk about the forward path. Let's talk about the difference that you're planning to bring in terms of where we're going forward right now. So, the background to this: when you first stood for municipal elections as mayor, I voted for you. Back in the day, when you stood for mayor of Joburg.
When in 2016 or now or
no, in 2016.
With the DA.
In 2016, yes, when because I followed your career from the Free Market Foundation back in the days. Okay. I supported projects that you put in place at the time, the Kaya Lam project out in
with Leon Law, we really work hard. We managed to get more title deeds for South Africans than all governments concerned.
Absolutely,
all of them combined.
And I in fact funded 3 of those title deeds myself at the time, because it was a great project. And when you got into office in Joburg, so I wanted 3 things from you, which we've talked about in the show before. I said, I just want Mashaba to do 3 things for me. Okay, I want him to fix the potholes. I want him to fix the traffic lights and clean up the streets. And by the time you left office as mayor, none of those 3 things had actually happened, and that was a crushing disappointment for me. In fact, the significant thing that happened to my mind under your watch was the renovation of the M2. You did that with remarkable speed and efficiency, but those 3 core things which I wanted for the city were not actually done. And we fully aware of the fact that you had this disastrous relationship with the EFF and where that ended up leading.
It's not the EFF that collapsed the administration. My administration was collapsed officially by the ANC and the DA.
All right. Well,
but
look, tell us about that. But more importantly, tell us now in terms of actual delivery on the ground.
I think, Kanthan, in terms of the potholes, cleaning of the city, and fixing of the lights, I'm really not really sure. I'm happy to send you the report signed off by the Auditor General. When I took over the city, one of the first things I did, because you can't just really go into a city or you are a CEO of a big company, and then the first day you just start working. Firstly, you've got to understand the numbers. You've got to understand things that that are facing you. How much money do you have to tackle those issues? One of the first things I did was to do the infrastructure backlog. I had to do it quickly so that I know what I'm dealing with. What are the issues, and do I have the money for it? When I took over the city, working with the Treasury, discovered I've had in the city of Johannesburg, I was facing 170 billion rands of infrastructure backlog. 170 billion rands. And I've always said on many occasions that I'm not sure whether the ANC, when they took power in 1994, whether they didn't know there's what is called maintenance or they forgot. I don't know. So 170 billion rands. And you know how much I had to fix this? I only had 8 billion rands. It is there. Now, so if anybody honestly would expect me to address 170 billion rands hole created by, at the time, 22 years of absolute neglect. And I've got 8 billion rands. I did not have a cent more. Honestly, then if anybody says I failed,
but you've got a track record of starting businesses with a budget that's non-existent compared to the size of the task that needs to be.
Let me correct you and really give you a practical life, because I think when you deal with a practical life, it becomes easy. I started a business, Black Like Me, in January of 1985 with a 30,000 rands loan in a 200 square meter factory. But I had to operate with a 30,000 rands. I needed more, but I could only raise 30,000 rands.
To my
but
point.
what I do.
So what I'm saying is the 170 billion.
No,
I'm writing that off because
what I'm
saying
is I've learned over my life to work with what I've got to get to where I want to go long term. It took me 5 years to build my own factory. I started in a rented factory, 200 square meters, January of 1985. 2nd of February in 1990, when de Klerk announced the unbanning of political parties and everything, I built my own factory, state of the art. Cost me over 10 million rands, and I did not owe anyone a cent. But now, tell me now, if you are saying I should have sorted out 170 billion rands whole with 8 billion rands in 3 years. I think honestly, I'm happy to if we take that to be,
okay.
If we take that to be a failure, I'm happy to admit that I was failed. But there was nothing I could do. There's no human being on earth who could ever solve something.
So assuming you're president tomorrow, and it would certainly be better than all of the other lot that we've got right now. And you've got a national budget. Let's say by some miracle, it's about a 3 trillion budget. What are your priorities?
The first thing I will do is to invest in law enforcement agencies. Make sure that that the citizens of this country are protected. That I don't have to sit in a country where 86 people are being murdered every day. I don't have to sit in a country where every 11 minutes a woman is raped. I've got to deal with this drug cartels uptaking South Africa as a playground. So I need to capacitate law enforcement agencies, re-establish as a matter of agency the Scorpions. I need to re-establish as a matter of agency what we used to call the Brixton Maiden Robbery Squad. That's, for me, it's important, because if I don't really start by making sure that we don't have July 8 days in July. I've got to ensure that I've got our law enforcement agencies in place, because if I don't do that, then everything else is not going to work.
Number one. What are the other 2 top priorities?
The second one I need to do is to immediately, through Parliament, we need to review our labor legislation. This draconian labor legislation where COSATU and the South African so-called communist destroyed business in this country, particularly SMMEs, where we can allow the business community to really be able to operate and hire and run businesses. So we've got to, because if you don't review that legislation, every time businesses will get into trouble.
This is music to Kanthan's ears, because we asked this of previous people in the studio and they got rubbish answers.
Roger Jardine refused to answer the question.
So I've got to, as a matter of agency, deal with these draconian laws. Thirdly, I have to ensure that in our statute book, we remove any race-based legislation. South Africans, I need all South Africans to be South Africans regardless of their race, gender, and whatever. I need a united South Africa, because once a nation is united, as one nation, I can tell you, everything else will follow.
All right.
You wanted 3. Those are the 3
That's
I
great.
will give
That's
you.
a great
I
start.
think that's going to be music to our audience's ears.
Well, maybe there'll be people who disagree. I mean, Patrick in the comments.
If you don't, anyone who doesn't agree with me, let me tell you, Gareth, I wasn't brought into this world to make friends, and I'm not in this business to make friends with anyone. So for those who don't like what I do, it's not my problem. They must not make their problem my problem.
I want to go to there's a supporter of yours here who says Herman's objective at the moment is purely to get rid of the ANC, and that is fine. We can see that they are public enemy number 1. Afterwards, all the rest follows. Do you agree with that?
Well, look, if anyone smokes all these drugs that the cartels are bringing here, to think that you can solve the problem with ANC, you must be smoking very, very dangerous something. So the first order of business in this country, and I think that is why I'm mobilizing South Africa to know the first order of business, because when you operate, you've got to really know what you first have to do. We've got to remove the ANC from government. Right. ANC can't be part of the solution of this country.
Phumi has a question.
By every indication, there is going to be a need of some kind of coalition. You yourself are part of the MPC, which at the moment is a DA-led MPC.
No. Please, let's correct that. Very far from the truth. That's what the DA tried to position themselves to be, and we've called them to order. Please ask John Steenhuisen to see if he can make that statement. He'll be in big trouble, because we've got a legal agreement. There's no one who leads.
Okay, I haven't finished asking my question.
Okay. No, I think I needed to really correct, because if you don't correct it, then people will have this impression.
Okay. So there's a legal agreement in place. There is this MPC. Can you guys work together? Because in the city of Tshwane, working together has proven to be a bit of a difficulty. Going forward, what are you going to do differently at the national level that you have failed so far in Joburg and in Tshwane?
Well, I think for me, very good question to say. When we started in Tshwane, it was really very turbulent times. I think it was something, it was really dreadful. It was painful, because you remember that we voted the DA into office against their will. We voted them in Johannesburg on the day of voting, because 24 hours before the first council meeting, DA decided to walk away from our coalition arrangement. And I woke up on a Monday morning. While I was having a shower, I had an idea to say, look, we are not going to allow ANC in Johannesburg, Ukuruleni, and Tshwane. At the time, we had spent the whole day, Sunday, trying to get the DA to come to their senses. Kone Molde, Tlhabisi from the IFP. Literally spent the whole day. We don't know how many meetings we had with them to really knock some sense into them, because we had the numbers. But they refused. Monday morning, on the day now, at 10 o'clock, we've got to have our first council meeting. I woke up. I decided, no, we are not going to allow this to happen, not under my watch. One thing that I've been trained to do is to accept defeat after trying.
Right.
And then,
going to move on.
And then what I did, I contacted our Senate. The Senate of Action SA is our highest decision-making body. I called it an urgent Zoom this thing. I said, chaps, we've got a huge challenge on our hands. Would you guys give me the mandate to see if we can rescue the situation? I gave them the proposal. I said, let's speak to the other coalition partners, ACDP, Freedom Front Plus, and others. And I said, what I'll do, you remember when I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, I had a relationship with the EFF, but I had not seen them since I left. So I said, let me speak to the EFF, because I remember the Wednesday before, they had a big press conference that they're not going to work with the ANC. So I phoned Floyd Shivamwa. Luckily, his number was still working, so and he took my call. No, in fact, when I initially phoned, the phone was just ringing. I couldn't get hold of him. But luckily, 5 minutes later, he called me back. I said, Floyd, At that press conference, you know what the Malema said about me? He said, I'm a novice in politics and insulted me, you know. So as my opening remarks are to Floyd, I said, Floyd, I know and accept that I'm a novice in politics, but we've got a challenge which I'm sure if we work together, we can resolve. DA has walked out of negotiations with us. We had the numbers to run Johannesburg. Ukulele was so we did not have the numbers, but Swane we have. But DA have decided, they're saying they're fielding their own mayors on their own, with not even having half of what is required to vote a mayor. They are going on our own. I said, DA must be having something up their sleeve. There's something. I mean, how do they field their own person without having the numbers? I said, please, I've spoken to my Senate, has given me my mandate. I've spoken to the Freedom Front Plus, ACDP. They are happy. And would you guys give me the mandate to speak to the EFF? So I said to the EFF, the Senate has given me the permission. Can we vote the DA into office in all 3 municipalities? Without their knowledge, we don't tell them. And we can then talk to them. At least we've kept the ANC out.
And they agreed.
Yeah. 5 minutes later, he says, let me consult, and for sure less than 10 minutes.
But from a strategic point of view, you had to do that, because if you had actually not, if you had voted with the ANC, then the voters would have given you an absolute drubbing. So
no, over my dead body, Herman Mashaba will work with the ANC. So that is not even a debate.
Exactly.
That's not a debate we should have.
But Phumi asked,
so my question stands.
Yeah, now I'm getting to that, because if you don't understand the background, Phumi, you will forever work on news headlines, and that's unfortunately it's a problem. Not only people in South Africa. So basically, what happened is
you will not work. You will not work with the ANC
over my dead body.
Okay, all right.
Over my dead body.
So we're clear. That's a very emphatic answer.
Well, you know. Okay, so we then obviously started working with the DA. We voted them into power without their knowledge, and you know what? They only started talking to us a week. You've got 14 days in South Africa per constitution to form a government. Now we voted them in. They've got the mayor, they've got speaker, they've got everything. Big numbers. They've got outright majority by far. Now, obviously, we thought they will then approach us immediately so that we form a coalition government. As a Section SA, in Johannesburg, as the 3rd biggest political party with 44 councillors, only spoke to us a week before. The first 7 days they were talking to smaller parties like COPE and whatever, left us out. So we sat back and waited. Then, obviously, eventually on the last minute, we agreed. We really compromised, and it honestly was an insult. But at the end of the day, keeping the ANC was more important to us than anything else. And they gave us this mayor who was one of the most arrogant human beings we can ever come across.
Who's this?
Williams?
Randall Williams.
Randall Williams. We've got an agreement with the DA. It's a public knowledge on things that we agreed we are going to do. Insourcing of frontline workers like cleaners,
which was one of the biggest things I had a problem with in terms of but
if it's your problem, it's your problem, it's not mine.
You see, the reason why it's a problem, insourcing is a problem because it allows for consolidation of power in the hands of the unions. And that means that Pick It Up goes on strike, for example. All of the services in Joburg shut down.
In fact, what you are talking about is the opposite of what I broke the stronghold of unions. By insourcing, I actually broke the stronghold of unions in practical terms, because while these guys were working for tenderpreneurs, were driving 11, 10 cars, exploiting these people. They belong to COSATU, and COSATU had no protection whatsoever. And when I insourced them, they all resigned from the union.
Insourcing is bigger government. Effectively, what you are doing is you're consolidating more employment rather than setting up a number of individually owned companies, and by all means, call them SMEs as an example.
Kanthan, you're not going to get us under Action SA. Under Action SA, we are unapologetic. Don't tell us about the small government at the expense of poor people when we've got such inequalities. I'm not prepared as Action SA, as a leader of Action SA, to really make Kanthan a multi-millionaire at the expense of poor people. I give you 16,000 rands for a security guard. You pay a poor guy 3,000 rands a month and you pocket the rest. You don't give them employment letters. They've got no benefits and so forth. So if that's what you guys have got in mind,
I'm talking very specifically in terms of things like Pick It Up as an example. I'm talking in terms of the Joburg Roads Agency, in terms of how that's actually conducted, the efficiencies that come from having the private sector actually take care of those things are massive. And the service delivery to the poorest of the poor, which we all have a vested interest in, actually significantly better under private
it has never
well.
happened in the history of mankind since 1917 when the Communist Party under Lenin and what's this other brutal evil man? Stalin. Ever since they took over, brought in communism, thinking that they're doing this for the people. What happened to the people? And they go for the professionals, take their farms or whatever.
That's exactly what they did. They shut down private enterprise. The kulaks were shut down.
Okay, let me deal with
that. Let's get to a question.
Okay, now we had this issue. We discovered in the process of people of Hammanskraal, where I was born and raised. In 2019, DA gave a contract to Edwin Sodi for 294 million rands. Edwin Sodi, who had no knowledge about water treatment plant. So when we ask her this question, he's refusing to cooperate with. We're in government with him to say, tell us, how did Edwin Sodi get the money paid in advance and he's gone? He's nowhere to be found. And the man is arrogant. The man wants to give 3 of our power stations unsolicited bid. When we question this, it says we are difficult. Honestly, if the DA thought we were difficult, if you co-govern with Action SA, don't think we are here to make friends with you. And we want you to hold us on the same standard. So we were questioning all these issues that it is within our right, our constitutional and moral right. Eventually, we managed to really make sure that the DA gets rid of him. They've now put in Celius, and I think he's behaving better. And the situation in Tshwane, without any doubt, it's slightly improving better than this guy. So, and right now we now have an official multi-party charter. Yesterday alone, we had a press conference at Kelvin Power Station with the DA, with all the parties in the multi-party. So yes, it's getting better and better. The coalition arrangement in South Africa, it's something new. You just really need all the parties to treat one another with some kind of respect and humility. And that's something, unfortunately, the DA in the beginning actually lacked. They thought because they were a bigger party, they can dictate to everyone. They regarded someone like me as a cheeky black. I've always said, some of these people in the DA, when they look at me, as a cheeky black. Some of the guys in the DA, when they looked at me, I'm 64. When they see me, but fortunately enough, DA has got real star majority. Good South Africans committed to those countries. For that reason, Action SA attracts more people from the DA than any other party. And an example I always use, I said, when people say, but you are a DA light, I said, guys, what do you mean? I'm not stupid enough to go and fish in the desert. When I go and fish, I go to the sea.
Which is exactly what the DA has been complaining about.
But what I'm saying is, I just wanted to tell you that there are some people in the DA who are real. They have a mentality that it is their way or no highway.
Sure.
But
We hear
this
this
is
from
ex-
other leaders as well.
But this is also exactly what the DA has always complained about, that smaller parties, new parties, you're taking away from the collective, right? And what you're saying is exactly what they have been saying. Why is it that you were unable to work within the DA to bring more people so that together, instead of trying some multi-party charter, that sounds to me like you're pulling in different directions and hoping to do something together when you were inside the DA and you walked away from
Let me tell you, let me ask the three of you guys to see if you guys don't work on headline news. Tell me, do you guys know why I resigned as the mayor of the city of Johannesburg on the 21st of October 2019, 2 years ahead of time? Please,
see, whatever
you guys are in the news. Please tell me.
You see,
because I had a press conference.
Whatever your reasons,
reasons,
I voted for you to be mayor, and you stepped down. That was a crushing disappointment. The reasons didn't matter. You signed up for the job, and you didn't stay the distance.
But Captain, you're not asking.
You told us.
I'm asking.
You told us.
You can go into the website now. My speech is there.
I remember.
Now I'm
you
asking
told
you.
us. You
Do
told
you
us
guys know why I resigned 3 years ahead of time?
You told us at the time you were betrayed by the DA.
What did they do?
I can't remember, but I took you seriously.
Kanthan, you voted for me. Thank you. Do you know why I resigned? As someone who was disappointed.
All I know is that I expected you to stay the distance. You know, when I vote for someone, I expect them to step up. I had the same issue with Mampela when she stood for, I voted for Akhang back in the day.
Okay, let's see.
She didn't complete the
job.
Do you care?
Can you remember?
I actually don't care. And this is why I'm asking you.
Okay.
Hold on. I actually don't care. And this is why I'm asking the question that says, if then, when you were inside, you were unable to iron out the differences, why then must I today as a voter believe that you can in two different parties?
I think if you don't care, then you're going to really make very dangerous decisions, because your decisions are actually informed by hearsay, people talking in shebeens and headline news. Here's the fact. Please, my speech is there, which I delivered, and I can give you evidence. I resigned because I came across in 2019 secret meetings between the DA and the EFF. Sorry, the DA and the ANC to have a motion of no confidence against me. I came across facilitated by the IRR. They were having secret meetings. The DA strategy was to position me as the EFF mayor. Why, as an EFF mayor, that says I'm taking their residents' money to provide services to people who don't pay taxes and so forth.
I remember this.
It's there in the records, guys. Okay, and then from the DA, I was pursuing 35 billion rands of fraud and corruption. So they decided to get together and come out with a plan, confirmed by Helen in an interview, that they were going to have this motion of no confidence. Now tell me, do you expect me as a normal human being to wait to be embarrassed by a motion of no confidence?
No, I don't.
No,
But
I'm saying, if you could not iron out your differences, then why must I believe that today you and the DA can work together to deliver what you say you were going to deliver?
Well, whether you care or not, Herman Mashaba, it's in politics to provide services to everyone. If the DA did not want to provide services to poor communities, Herman, there was just no way that you would.
I believe you, because Helen said it herself. She's been going on about how the ideal coalition for South Africa to move forward will be a DA-ANC coalition. She said this very publicly.
Many times.
So I'm
evidence.
absolutely on your side on that. But this is all ancient history too. What I think Phumi is also frustrated by, and what many comments and many voters may feel the same, that we have evidence of strife in coalitions. We have evidence of Action SA and other parties, it's not all your fault, looking like they're scupper coalitions. That's what it looks like. So whether it's true or not, that's the perception people have. And that's dangerous.
But what is dangerous, Gareth, is because people are easily influenced by propaganda, headline news. So people are I don't know whether people are lazy to read and even when the point of reference, what's the point of having these books to read and then tomorrow completely forgotten what's written?
Well, let's give benefit of the doubt out here and look in terms of the MPC charter that you've got right now. Give us a sense of how, in terms of the way in which you've structured this, because you've clearly spent a lot of time working on this and ensuring it gets drafted appropriately. Just give us a breakdown from your perspective, the safeguards that are in place that are going to prevent those collapses that have happened in the past.
Okay, let me give you a practical life. We've got a written agreement of the MPC, where we've really committed to a free market economy, non-racial South Africa, non-social justice, not to work with the ANC. All those things are there. It's a public document. Will everyone adhere to this? Can I, as Section SA, guarantee that other parties are committed like we do? One thing I can commit, that as Section SA, we are committed morally. That document is not legally binding. It doesn't have any. But it's got moral standing, and Action SA is committed to what we sign, fully committed. We don't need any lawyer, any court of law. We are committed to this. But it's like someone saying to me, Herman, every year I go for medical treatment. Must I give you a guarantee because I go for thorough medical treatment that I'm not going to wake up a week later with cancer or whatever? I can't give you those guarantees. And no one. And with this agreement, I think it's up to all the parties. I can speak on behalf of Action SA. Action SA is fully committed. We don't need a court of law to tell us. And we are morally committed. That document we've signed, we are fully committed to it. But I can't honestly guarantee that other parties are. But so far, it's not easy, because life is not easy. Coalitions are not easy. Go to Germany, compromise. But we are committed to the spirit of what we've signed.
So I also think, and not to in any way diminish the value of Kanthan or Phumi's questions so far, but I think because you have been in government, even if it's the city of Joburg and in other municipalities where you have had some say and some sway, I think it's unfair to hold you to an account that we wouldn't hold the EFF to, for example, where they haven't governed anything and have at very most swayed the vote.
They're governing now.
Yeah, well, they're trying. But again, we haven't really had an experience of being under EFF government in this country and in any major municipality. So we'll get to that. That hopefully won't come in some places, and in other places we'll see how it works out. But I think what's important here is that you come under a lot of criticism, and you were fighting with the EFF yesterday about foreigners. And this is a massive thing which you've developed some reputation. Some people love you for it.
And some people hate me.
Of course. So I want you to have a chance to explain your position on this, because I do think it resonates with many people. And for many, it's a source of great ire with you, that they can never see any common ground with you because of your attitude to these foreign illegal immigrants who come to South Africa for various reasons. But you have a very strong opinion on this, and I want you to be able to say what it is and let people decide.
Gareth and everyone, South Africa was built at the back of migrants. Look at us in this room, all God creatures and so forth. All South Africans. This country was built. You see, the South Africans in this house. That's how God wanted it to be. I believe very strongly that we need to really coexist. We need to really learn to coexist. And at the same time, for this country to develop, we must continue encouraging people of the world to come into this country. But however, they must come here legally. And when they're in South Africa, they must respect the laws of our country. South Africa does not need the drug dealers. Don't tell me I must open my borders to drug cartels. Drug cartels, I can tell you, I'm going to, given the Monday, I'm going to lead a charge against the drug dealers. South Africa does not really need people bringing money through mattresses. We've got the Reserve Bank.
Or sofas.
Or sofas. so, you know, we don't want people to really come and tell us they're coming into South Africa to be cleaners. We don't want people to really come into South Africa to come and run spaza shop, but we don't know how they brought the money into this country. So it is that position. We are unapologetic. If there's anyone who doesn't really like us for it, we respect. But one thing for sure, they must just pray that South Africans do not give us the mandate. Given the mandate, I can tell you they rot in Home Affairs, because the reason why international criminal syndicates have made South Africa the playground is because of the corruption at Home Affairs.
You will clean that out.
Oh, we'll have a specialized team within the police, within Home Affairs. South Africans involved in issuing the South African documents fraudulently, they will pay a heavy price.
Do you feel like Gayton has stolen a bit of your thunder on this front? Because he was wearing a reflective jacket and chasing people across the Limpopo.
when I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, PA was one of the parties that used to criticize me for being xenophobic. ANC went to an extent of reporting me to the South African Human Rights Commission. But fortunately enough, South Africa has got a constitution. Everything that I'm articulating is carried in our constitution, and it's a constitutional framework, not only in South Africa, it's a worldwide phenomenon. That's why the other day, Mr. Malema talking about borders are created by the colonists. And I said to Mr. Malema, please do me a favor. You know, this idea and concept of yours, go and talk to your African brothers, go and get their views on this. But let me tell you, Mr. Malema, South Africa is going to remain a sovereign country. If you want to try this open border policy, one Africa, go and try it somewhere. Give us 20 years. We've got 20, 30 years. South Africa has got its own issues. 12 million of our people are unemployed. 54% of our people live under the breadline. 86 people are being murdered in this country every single day. So, Mr. Malema, go and talk to your brothers, I don't know where, and have that borderless continent, but leave South Africa out of it.
All right, I got an admonishment here from Carl. It says, Gareth, speak for yourself. This is now addressed to me. He says, speak for yourself. I live in Ekurhuleni. The EFF are fucking everything up. He says, our bins get collected twice a month if we're lucky. Water is off a lot of the time. Power is off a lot of the time. So there's Carl's feedback. I'm not going to argue with him. He lives there. Not good to have the EFF in charge, he's basically saying.
Can I tell you something quickly with Gareth? You know, there was one interview which someone had. Well, people were asked, he says, EFF supporters. He says, would you want EFF to govern a municipality? People said yes. A big number of people says yes, we'd like them to govern. And then the second question was, would you like to live there? All of them said no.
All right.
Well, okay. We don't have a lot of time left. South Africa, according to Stats SA, the median age is 27. So what would you say to a 27-year-old South African to make them vote for you? And by all accounts, this election is definitely going to be swayed by a youth vote. So what would you say to a young person, whether they are voting for the first or the second time, to make them vote for you?
Well, I think let me take you through. I don't know, obviously, how much time you have.
We've got the time.
We've just had a policy conference on the 12th to the 14th of September last year, and those policies are there. Please go. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring you guys the hard copies, but you can.
No, it's fine. We'll find it.
Our policies in terms of our economic policies, we are saying we are going to be for the free market economy where unions will never have a veto right on our economic policies, so that you as South Africans must be able to start businesses without interference by the unions. We'll have the Department of Labor to protect your rights in terms of health and safety measures and so forth. But we are not going to be the government that's going to tell Gareth if I want to work for Gareth, to tell Gareth how much to pay me. If Gareth and I wants to, I'm happy to work for Gareth. Gareth is able to pay me 4,000 rands a month or 6,000, whatever. Government has got absolutely nothing to do with us. People expect me I must rely on 350 rands. We as Action SA, we are saying we are unapologetic. Please, young South Africans, if you are looking for a racial party, go somewhere else. We'd love your vote. But one thing for sure is that we are committed to a non-racial South Africa. So if you feel you are looking for a racial party, we are happy to miss your vote. Unfortunate, but it's your right.
So if you're a big supporter of BEE or you're a white supremacist,
we are the first political party since 1994 to openly saying BEE. It is if South Africans give us the mandate, we are going to bury it, and we are going to bury it in an unmarked grave.
You have said that, and the DA have changed their position on this.
We're going to no, but we've got our own policy called inclusive economic empowerment, where businesses are going to be forced to pay a percentage of their profits to an opportunity fund, and this opportunity fund is going to be used exclusively in communities which were discriminated against during apartheid, discriminated by the ANC tenderpreneurs and oligarchs to build schools, fund their businesses and so forth. So we are not just, because we are for empowerment of black people, we are unapologetic about this, but we are not going to do this at the expense of pitting South Africans against each other.
Right.
Every business must contribute so that we uplift people. So if you are looking for ANC triple B of 2003, that policy, I'm going to be
just here on the regulations alone are strangling us in bureaucracy.
Let me tell you that policy, Kanthan, I'm going to be the priest on that day. Because we are going to bury it in an unmarked grave in the middle of night in a bush. And if you are most welcome to be there, but unfortunately, the only thing that you must understand, as much as it's at night, whatever, but we'll still cover your eyes. You wouldn't know where we buried.
Your message to young people is you will create the conditions for economic opportunity.
Absolutely. We will close our borders for bad apples. I will be the one every day at our borders, at our airports, to have a red carpet for people who are coming to invest, to bring the skills, come and enjoy our country. But drug dealers, so people coming to South Africa, I can tell you our borders are going to be closed. Murderers, rapists, drug dealers, we catch you. I can tell you, if you get life sentence, it's going to be life sentence. Thabo Best as an example. Under Action SA, please don't tell me we must rehabilitate Thabo Best. No, what for? He's not going to come out of jail. I have no time to. Thabo Best is not going to come out of jail. If the court has found him guilty and sentenced him to life, it's going to be life without parole under Action SA. And over and above that, what we added is that all these heinous criminals, they're not going to get free accommodation, free meals. No.
What are you going to do?
Monday to on a Thursday like this, our instruction as Action SA will pass laws. 8 o'clock, by 8 o'clock, no one already sentenced these heinous criminals, and we'll separate them from the petty criminals.
Sure.
All these heinous criminals, 8 o'clock, all of them, there must not be no one in the cells.
What are they going to be doing?
They must be in the farms working.
Oh, forced labor.
Not forced labor. It's not forced labor. No, they're paying back to society. 5 to 8, they'll be back in the cells at 5 o'clock. If they want a break, they'll get break on Saturday if they cooperate. And those who don't cooperate, they'll work 7 days. And then Sunday, all of them, half a day, but they must be in church.
So
can we ask about healthcare?
So
I think that's the other
this is just
thing.
to give you. I can. We believe in social justice. That is why the abolishment of the BE and come out with our own inclusive empowerment or whatever.
No, you've explained this.
Is to address social justice, because I'm in politics to make sure that we uplift the poor people.
All right. You are certainly the most passionate person.
And education. Let me talk about education.
Kanthan wants to ask you about health.
Wait, let him finish about education. I want to hear this.
Healthcare in terms of priorities for people right now. We have this NHI disaster coming our way. What do you do about it?
It'll be one of those pieces of legislation which, as a matter of agency, we must remove it from our statute books. Because, I mean, it's a disaster. What we need to do, we need to build more hospitals. Can you imagine in this country want to bring national health to whatever, the NHI? In the meantime, we've got 600 unemployed medical doctors. You know, the other day on Saturday, I was with one of the specialist doctors in this country to think, when we grew up, doctors used to be such respected people. Today in South Africa, where our health condition has worsened, but doctors are unemployed. But the tenderpreneurs, shebeen owners, they're in parliament. You know what? But they're in parliament. They've got shebeen owners, taxi drivers. They're in parliament. They've got VIP protection who pushes us and they assault us.
Shipping owners and taxi owners are also businessmen.
Yes, but
these businesses that you talk about, that small enterprise should be given an opportunity to grow and thrive, so that they can be contributing.
I must fact check you there, Phumi, because we have 250,000 taxis in the country, but they are owned by 20,000 people. So most of the taxi drivers, they're not business owners.
Yeah, I didn't say that taxi drivers are business owners. I said
let's not
taxi
conflate.
owners.
Let's not conflate
They are the most corrupt people in the country.
No, let's not conflate the issue. We're talking about public representatives, where today in parliament, you have people who are there because they're nice dancers.
You wanted to talk about education.
Yeah.
So I think it's important.
Let me talk about education. Education. Under Action SA, you're going to have one Department of Education. There's a union called SATU. And I want to declare openly, SATU and I will never see eye to eye. They've destroyed millions of lives of our youth, where they control education. Under Action SA, SATU just really know appointment of principals. You'll have absolutely nothing to do with it. Absolutely. We will engage. You've got a right to be unions. You can unionize as much as you want, but principals of schools are going to be appointed by us as government. The only people who will consult is the community, which must be served by that principal. We are going to bring back school inspectors. I cannot understand how ANC government and COSATU, they don't want school principals. We will bring back we will bring back school principals to make sure that our kids are taught. We will focus on ECD centers. That's where we're going to invest, so that our kids, by the time they reach 10, they can read for meaning.
So I got into some trouble this week because I retweeted, and I know you did too, Kanthan, Jacob Zuma's comments about teen pregnancies and education in general, and how he wants severe penalties for these people. And I know you
throwing the pregnant girls.
On Robben Island.
Now, we've got to start with him. We've got to reopen his
And many people have said the same thing.
No, we've got
that was very unexpected. So please say that again. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to laugh out loud.
Now, how many kids does he have is the point.
Hey. Not how many he's got. We've got the case of rape.
Herman,
so we've got to reopen that case.
The reason I bring this up,
we can't reopen that case. The courts cleared him of that.
So what do you mean? We can appeal. We can appeal a judgment.
So the reason
we have a constitutional right to appeal against the judgment.
The reason I bring this up is because there are lots of politicians who are making outlandish promises, like throwing teenage pregnancies onto Robben Island. I mean, it's just that's a little crazy. And
it's
pregnant
absurd.
teenagers.
I mean,
You've got to be out of your mind. You see,
Sure, but
South Africa, we smoke drugs that are very dangerous.
But we can't just dismiss Jacob Zuma like you did just now, because I do think he's a very powerful man, and he has a lot of supporters. Whether they're right or wrong, there are a lot of supporters. I also think that there are a lot of things that you say about SADTU that talk about the disease within schools where we have principals and teachers who make these girls pregnant, and they get protected by SADTU, which is why I bring it up.
Yes, they're not going to Robben Island.
They're not going to Robben Island. They should. So what are the other things in education? Because you said unifying the departments.
And I think we must respect Robben Island. Robben Island is going to be a monument for South Africa. It's not going to be a prison again. In this country, it's got to be a monument for future generations to really preserve our history. So I think when we talk about prison, it cannot really be prisons. We've got in the Kalahari lots of empty spaces. All these people who've stolen our money, the Tabo Beste, that's where they're going to be in there.
Maybe a new prison, a new prison just for politicians. just for politicians. Okay, so some of the comments here are, and these are from people who like you, so I don't want you to attack them personally, but Congo Chris says, you do sound a bit like a fascist dictator sometimes. We will punish people who disagree with us. You describe the opposing voices as drug addicts. You know, I mean, this does sound to some people like it's my way or the highway.
Well, it's the Bukele approach, and which
I think I've said to you, I'm not in this business to make money. We've got a country to protect. Our country is burning. This house is burning, and bringing friendship and Ubuntu into the mix. Honestly, that's when we will destroy this country. This country really requires.
So you're not going to coddle people who are not interested in the policies you stand for. In other words, it must be clear to those people you're not going to see eye to eye. They can't vote.
I'm saying I want to make it clear to criminals. You murder someone and you expect me I must practice Ubuntu. Forget about it. Forget about it. If you want you want to be reformed, don't commit crime.
What about voting rights for criminals?
Zero tolerance. Okay.
Would you remove voting rights for criminals?
For criminals with immediate effect.
No voting rights for criminals.
For what? Why must my life be dictated by Thabo Beste, who's not going to come out of jail?
Lucky Motlapeng says, Herman Mashaba dropped gems today. I will watch this again later. There are people here who have decided to vote for you. There's one comment here from somebody a little bit earlier. They were considering you or Sarah to vote for. That's Colleen, who we had on last week. I was voting for either Action SA or Sarah, but after this discussion with Herman, I'm definitely going with Action SA. Herman Mashaba is a pragmatist and does not speak about things in ideology, which I like. Okay? And then other people saying they're not going to vote for you. This is how it goes. This is how it goes.
But that's life.
So are you most excited about the certain parts of the country where you think you've got a really good chance? Are you contesting everywhere equally? You're going to work yourself to death, because I know you've been
Gauteng.
Gauteng is your main focus.
It's our main focus. Action has to govern Gauteng, because if we govern, or when we govern Gauteng, then we'll be able to rescue the entire country.
Final question from you, Pums. Anything you want to throw out there? Or are you happy?
No, I think I've had my fill. This has been.
And Kanthan, any last thoughts?
Interesting.
Herman, on the assumption that you end up being very successful, but you have to form a coalition government at that point. Is it going to be a sticking point for you if the DA ends up being the people who have a presidential candidate to put forward that then gets elected?
Look, fortunate enough, we signed the multi-party charter agreement in front of South Africa and in the world, and we agreed as part of that contract, and it's a public document, that not that the president is not going to be elected from someone coming from the party that emerges as the biggest. So we said we'll come out with a mechanism where we can consult South Africans as to who's the best person in this coalition to actually lead the party. Lead the government, whether it comes from the DA, IFP, or Freedom Front Plus, ACDP, and other parties. I think we're comfortable. I think our motivation behind being part of the multi-party is to ensure that we can work together as South Africans to remove this curse called ANC from government.
Would you support legislation to allow South Africans to directly elect a president?
Absolutely. For us, actually, if you look at the core values of Action SA, which we adopted on the day I launched the party on the 29th of August, the seventh one is actually electoral reform. When we go into parliament, we are going to lobby for South Africans one day to elect the president directly, to elect the premiers and the mayors, including heads of National Prosecuting Authority and so forth, so that they can be independent of political interference. So we'll lobby. It is in our documents. It's in our manifesto.
I want to ask, just as a final question, a personal question. How is your amazing wife Connie, who puts up with your politicking, who is the power behind the throne, and who I've met on several occasions, and she herself is a powerhouse? Is she happy that you are working day and night, and that is she supporting you in every way possible? Is she telling you, look, it's time for you to get out of there?
Can you believe it?
You've been married for years now.
As I got up this morning, on Sunday, the 3rd of March, I'll be married to this young, beautiful wife for 42 years.
Amazing.
This Sunday, it's our 42nd
but she hasn't persuaded you to stop.
And Connie has been really supportive. Actually, you know why I married Connie at the age of 22? Because I was a danger to myself. I needed protection. And I chose this woman to protect me. And I can tell you, if there's a kind of certificate that one can give while I'm still alive, Connie's still alive, Connie deserves the biggest award any human being can ever get from a husband, because I'm who I am today. She shaped me. She protected me. She supports me unconditionally. And I'm eternally grateful to her. And I'm looking forward on Sunday. We've not planned, maybe we'll go out for lunch, whatever, but I'll be married to her legally for 42 years.
That's fantastic.
And illegally?
Illegally. Yeah, no, illegal. We know what happens to illegals on Herman's watch. All right, so Herman, thank you. There are lots of unanswered questions here, but we don't honestly have time, and you've got a big announcement to make at 11 o'clock this morning. Someone already is throwing around that it's not a big surprise who you're going to announce, but we'll leave it to you. And thank you for coming in. You always make yourself available. You are not afraid to answer questions. Sometimes it's to people's satisfaction, other times not, but we appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think South Africans must learn to accept that we are human beings. God created this way. We must agree to disagree.
Very good. Not bad advice.
Amen to that.
Not bad advice. All right, we will see you for another Burning Platform next Thursday. More party leaders coming. If you like Action SA, you know where to put your cross. Herman Mashaba, good to see you. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. Cheers. We'll see you tomorrow.